welcome back to Roland Morin's Art Studio. I'm Nancy and my husband Roland, and today he's going to talk about how to get inspired to follow through to create an abstract painting. And the definition of abstract is a thought or an idea, but not having a physical or concrete existence. First thing he's going to talk about is how do you establish the size of your canvas?
Okay, this is going to be a personal preference. I normally like something like 3 foot by 4 foot, to give you an example. And some of you use paint maybe in a 12-inch by 16-inch, and that's fine. You have to have an idea of maybe what the subject matter is going to be to help you in the shape. You might want one taller than the width, and you want one in a landscape, which is wider than it is height, or you might want one that is square. And that choice is all up to you. And just to let you know, if you pick the wrong size canvas, as you start producing the painting and you really wanted a taller, you can adjust your painting to that canvas. So all is not lost.
Number 2, pulling from within.
And that's the hardest part. When you start painting, originally, you learn how to paint more of a realist. You start off as a young person, maybe painting like a still life, an apple, bottle of wine, maybe a wine glass, and you do that. You try to duplicate either off of a photograph or if you do a setup on a table. Now, when it gets into creating something from thin air or nothing, you see nothing. You don't see a photograph. You don't see any physical fruit and that sort of thing in your way. You got to create something. So now that comes from within. And that's where you got to visualize. Most artists are visualists. They can see things before it's in the physical sense. So you need to see the painting in your mind's eye, and that's how you do it, basically.
So you visualize your painting before you put it on the canvas.
Exactly. It's you're creating this thing from the start. You're the creator. So you're going to have to tap into your inner thoughts and get that painting out.
Okay. So do you sketch or draw before you put it on the canvas?
I don't particularly do too much sketching. I typically, when I have an idea in my mind, I will start immediately on the piece of canvas and begin to throw some framework up. A lot of times I'll throw a lot of parallel lines up, vertically, and parallel lines up horizontally, just to give me a kind of a guide when I start heading. Now remember, I'm painting in larger painting sizes, so I need to do something to give me a little bit of restrictions, and then I start thinking about this painting, and I just start letting the pencil go basically where it wants to go.
And do you expect changes along the way as you're starting to sketch?
Oh, absolutely. That's part of the journey when you paint. You're not going to get the full visual, the full finished product. You're going to get bits and pieces, and you're putting it together. And what's going to happen is, things are not going to go together like you want. You need to make changes. You just do it. It's in a pencil form anyhow. So you can do that at this point.
Do you have a color palette that you have in mind when you start?
Yeah, I normally like to use a lot of colors, mostly primaries, and I'll shade them lighter or darker in the painting. And you may want to take a palette, and you may want a bunch of, let's say, blues and reds and maybe some grays, and that'll be it. That might be what you want to do. And you lay them out on a palette and look at them together. And that'll give you what you want for that particular painting. Now, the next painting that you may paint may have some other color palette. That's fine. But each painting will have its own choice that you make. Okay.
So you're saying to take risks with your colors and what you're putting down.
Oh, you have to take risks. I mean, and any great painter, let's say a Picasso, I mean, he took risks. I mean, he probably sketched and painted all thousands of small paintings and thousands of sketches that no one has ever seen, but it gave him maybe 50 or 100 of his best pieces. And that's what we all see, but we never see what's going on behind the line. So, we see a finished product, but he saw it as it was getting to what A to Z. And so you need the same thing. Take risk. You'll never know how it's going to work out, but that's the fun of painting.
So when you're finished, you step back and you say, good or bad.
Yeah, and you're going to be the greatest critic of your painting. Starting out, trying to locate your style and the techniques you want to use, and the structure of the painting is going to be judged by you. Okay, so what will happen, especially in an abstract painting, your friends who are not artists, your family that are not artists, you're gonna look at your painting and say they don't understand it, because they want to see a photograph of a painting or something, like they can see a duck, and yours is an abstract form, don't look like a duck. But don't worry about that, because you're going to have them not understanding what you're doing. So you don't want them to be critics. Okay, so I just want to let you know now, the art world is going to be your outside critic, but you're going to be the main critic, and you paint for yourself. You don't paint for other people, you paint for yourself.
So in other words, you're saying no matter what you're painting, how your painting finishes, don't worry about it.
Exactly. Just don't worry about it. Just continue to grow from the process, because let's just say this is year one and you've never painted before, but you have a body of work that's maybe, let's say you painted one painting a month for a year. You got 12 paintings. You should see growth in those first 12 paintings. You will see growth. And then you'll get growth from year to year to year to year. But you got to put in the time. You'll never, ever see growth if you're just going to be a Johnny-come-lately painter. If you want to be a professional painter, you got to paint daily.
So every painting that you do is a growth experience. And if you don't like it, you get back on the horse.
That's exactly the way, that's a nice way of putting it. You get thrown from a horse. Now you got two choices to make. Do you really want to ride horses, or you just want to walk away from that one? If you're not really into riding horses, just walk away and be happy. But if you want to achieve horse riding, you're going to get thrown. I mean, that's all there is to it. You're going to get thrown. You're going to get yourself back up. And sooner or later, you will control that horse. And then you will find out what the enjoyment of everybody talks about. Boy, it's really fun riding horses. You don't know that when you're training to ride a horse, but you really know it after you get through your training and you begin to do it. And it's a lot of fun.
Now, when you get finished your painting, you hang it on a wall and observe.
You can hang it on a wall after it's a final product, or what I do is I put it on an easel and I leave it in my art studio, and I'll look at it before, let's say I'm finishing up at 9, 10 o'clock, and then I clean up all my tools and brushes. I'll go in there and look at it for 5 or 10 minutes and critique it. Did I use the right color in that hat? Or did I put the hand in the right spot? Or is the painting balanced and structured right? And I'll find fault with some areas, and I'll find some good things that I want to continue to use in the next painting. So when the next painting comes along, you have critiqued and you've looked at that finished product on that painting, and you make the corrections, because the next painting will have its own set of critique points. And that's how you grow from your paintings. You don't want to make the same mistakes over and over. So you look at that for maybe a 24-hour period and then move on to the next one.
So you analyze your painting, good or bad, and nothing is ever lost.
Oh, nothing's lost. Well, you got some time lost, but at this point, if you're a professional artist or you're even a part-time artist, it's time. I mean, how many people get paid for hobbies? Okay, so in the beginning, especially, it's a hobby. So you got to put the time in to get a finished product. And that's the way it is. Now, physical loss may be in the cost of the paintings, materials, canvas, paint, that sort of thing. And that's just the cost of doing business. I always say, well, I've been in business for 50 years. It's just the cost of doing business. And you got to do it. It's the process.
Okay. So don't be hard on yourself if you're not totally satisfied with a painting that you've done. Yeah. Move on.
You can't be hard on yourself in one respect, but you got to critique yourself so you can grow, but not condemn yourself. Just look at it like a teacher would look at your artwork, a real teacher that knows art, and help critique you so you can grow from that point on.
so you continue to grow with each painting and you never give up?
You can't give up unless you don't want to be a full-time painter and you just want to do it for a hobbyist and it's fun. It's good. That's good. But if you want to be up there and play hardball with the big boys, you're going to have to take some hits and you're going to have to be disappointed. And there's going to be good times and bad times, and you got to be passionate of what you're doing, regardless of maybe riding a horse or painting. You just got to go forward and suck it up. That's all you can do.
Thanks for joining us. Hope you enjoyed this video and join us again for the next one.
Hush.